we had a data team on staff to help analyze that data and determine the right content to go to the right people. Okay. And that's part of a strategy, no different than corporate world or different things to sell the right cars to the right people. We wanted to make sure that people in America saw the parts and the things that they would love about Donald Trump to make sure they would vote for him, to know that he'd be a great president for this country.
So that was Brad Parscale on this show not too long ago, the social media expert who helped Team Trump target voters in states like Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. Today, President Trump named him campaign manager for the 2020 re-election campaign. So what is Team Trump trying to tell us with that move, among other things? Here now, David Bossie, Trump's 2016 deputy campaign manager and a Fox News contributor. David, good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Did you want the job?
Not even a little bit.
You don't want to go back in there?
No, look, I'm happy, very happy helping the president right now, and I'm glad that Brad is leading the team now.
So what does the pick of Brad tell you about the way the president is approaching 2020?
Oh, I think that it is with a very serious mind that Brad was part of the winning team that was the 2016 election, and the president is going to count on Brad to put together a tremendous operation and lead us not just into 2020, but this year. The midterms of 2018 are going to play a pivotal role leading into 2020, and I think that's why the president made this decision and announced it today to say there's going to be another player, meaning the Trump reelect, on the table, and that we're going to be bringing all of these elements to bear to the 2018 reelect.
I got to ask you about Jared Kushner, because he was brought onto the campaign by Jared Kushner. Kushner had a bit of a rough day. His security clearance was lowered, and now there's a story tonight in the Washington Post which claims that several countries have said that they feel that he is somewhat compromised, that they question his ability to carry out the duties that he's carrying out for the White House. What do you make of all that, David?
Well, first of all, yes, Jared brought Brad in, and if that's what you were asking, but Jared is a tremendous patriot. He's a tremendous American who has been serving this president for the last year or more now in the White House, and certainly, there's going to be this issue with the security clearance, but I don't see that as a long-term problem. I think Jared's going through the process just like anyone else. But what he's doing on Middle East peace, what he's doing on innovation in America, you know what? Jared's a great person to have in there. He's an incredibly smart, incredibly dedicated person to this president, and I think that this president counts on Jared for his leadership on these issues.
So you don't think that there's a schism within the White House, that people are leaking information that makes him look bad? You don't buy into that?
We've had this issue now for over a year in this White House. We've had it in previous White Houses. I can't speak to where this information comes from. I can just speak to who Jared Kushner is, and he's a great person that is working with General Kelly every day to make President Trump's agenda succeed and make America great again.
All right. David Bossie, always good to see you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Martha.
So here now, Katrina Pearson, spokesperson for America First Action and a former spokesperson for the Trump 2016 campaign, and Zach Buchanan, former DNC Trump War Room director and Hillary Clinton presidential campaign aide. So you guys were up against each other in 2016. And now we're talking 2020 because the president has already announced that he absolutely will run. First of all, Katrina, did you ever doubt that the president would run? Because, you look even at Steve Bannon, who said, there's a 30% chance the president will run again in 2020.
No, Martha, there has never been a doubt in my mind. The president is committed to making America great again, and he knows you can't get this done in one term. So I'm thrilled that Brad Parscale is going to be the campaign manager. I am very close with Brad. We became very good friends during the primary. We were on Team Trump before so many other people were. He is absolutely the best man for the job. So in 2020, when you have President Trump out front and Brad Parscale on the back, it's going to be promises made, promises kept.
It's fascinating to look at the possible landscape for this, Zach. When you go through people, Nate Silver, Sosnick, also saying that they can easily see, for all of the grief that has been thrown at this president, they can easily see a scenario where he could win again.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I think that's especially true, given that we know that the Russians are once again engaged in the campaign.
So you think it will be the Russians? If he wins again, it'll just be because it's those Russians involved again?
I think that the Russians played a significant role in electing him in 2016, and they're going to play a significant role in his campaign in 2020, which is why I think that Brad Parscale is such an interesting choice for this. I mean, he put together a digital campaign that was copied by the Russians. I mean, they did basically the exact same thing. They went in and targeted the same battleground states. They went in and targeted to suppress minority voters. They ran an ad campaign that reached 126 million Americans. It was a huge multi-million-dollar operation, and it tracked very similarly.
I mean, that is why I made the point earlier, Katrina, that Brad Parscale was interviewed by the investigation, because some of what he was doing seemed so close to what we were hearing they were doing, although it appears that he did it better and, in fact, did it quite well. I think it's really interesting that the Trump campaign, at this early stage, says, yep, he's our guy. To me, that says they're not worried at all about any, potential connection that he may have had or the campaign may have had to that.
Oh, absolutely not, Martha. Anyone with an internet connection can set up a Facebook account and can tweet. That's simply all that this is. Brad Parscale is a digital genius. He has a marketing background. He has his own company. He's been doing this for a very long time. And in fact, if that's the case, Zach, the DNC should be in pretty good shape, considering they were the ones actually working with Christopher Steele and writing up fake dossiers and actually working with the Russians. So you guys are in pretty good shape.
That's been debunked about 1,000 times, but what is true is that the Russians helped to elect Donald Trump, and they're going to help us try to elect him in 2020.
I want to ask you guys about one more topic, because Judge Curiel back in the news today and essentially made a ruling against the environmental complaints against the wall, paving the way for the wall. This is someone who had a little bit of a dust up with President Trump back in May of 2016. Watch this.
I have a judge who is a hater of Donald Trump, a hater. He's a hater. His name is Gonzalo Curiel. And he is not doing the right thing. They ought to look into Judge Curiel, because what Judge Curiel is doing is a total disgrace.
So, Katrina, what do you think President Trump thinks about Judge Curiel tonight?
Well, I think there are two very different circumstances, but in this case, Judge Curiel is absolutely right. He even cited Section 102, which gives Congress gives the executive branch the authority to build these types of fences, and he sided with the Constitution, so I applaud him tonight.
Zach?
Look, I mean, Donald Trump said that Judge Curiel was not qualified to rule because he is of Mexican heritage, and now this just proved that Donald Trump's a racist.
Absolutely not, Zach. Like I said when I first said, this is two separate things. This was a personal case with Donald Trump. This is a constitutional one.
This is a
It's
constitutional
interesting that in his decision, Judge Curiel said that my fellow juror from Indiana. So I mean, clearly Judge Curiel is from the Midwest, which is very clear to everybody now.
So apparently Mexican Americans can judge correctly.
When the Constitution is at stake, absolutely.
Thanks,
Except
guys.
when it's against Donald Trump.
Thank you, guys. Good to see you.